I've always had a strong fear of rejection. This has put a large strain on many of my friendships, so much so that I stop myself from pursuing things or inviting people out because I'm afraid that they'll laugh at me or tell me they don't like me. In an attempt to protect myself, I shut down. I build my walls up so high that nobody can climb over them, and in turn leaves me lonely and does more harm than good. For years, my fear of rejection has been buried deep underneath false confidence, and I could hide it really well. Rarely did it ever affect my day-to-day life or my relationships, but for some reason, last summer, it did, in a big way. One day, I invited my best friend over my house, and we were having a great time. But towards the end of the night, she received a text. It was from a mutual friend. I had caught a glimpse of her phone. She was in a group chat with a lot of other people that I was friends with, and they were inviting her to hang out. This realization that I was excluded hit me like a ton of bricks. This realization was the beginning of allowing my fear of rejection to consume me, from spending time with friends, to how I viewed the world, to whether or not I should check social media, to whether or not I should even leave my room. My fear affected me deeply. So, I spent 2 months of my summer cooped up in my room, afraid that if I invited anyone to do anything, they'd laugh at me and reject my proposition. Rarely did I ever leave my room. Rarely did I talk to anybody except for my mom. I know, I'm very cool. And I only went out for meals. I had completely secluded myself from the rest of the world. Since I was alone in my room, trying to avoid my phone, I had a lot of time to think. But as I quickly found out, this wasn't a good thing. My thoughts got out of control. My mind made up scenarios that were highly unlikely, and I fell further into isolation. When my family was getting ready for an upcoming beach trip, my mom had told me that I could invite one friend to go with me. I could feel the joy and anticipation for the trip bubbling up in my stomach because the last time I was able to bring a friend, it was really fun. However, the anxiety behind finding a person to go with me was very apparent. I texted the first person I thought of, my best friend, but she couldn't go because her family was also taking a trip. I moved on to the second person, but after the first failure, I was terrified texting them, which isn't usually the case as we've been friends for as long as I can remember. However, she couldn't go either because she was at camp. I could feel myself sink as the text came in. Although I knew there were both valid reasons, I couldn't help but feel that it was intentional and they just didn't want to hang out with me. From that moment, I decided that there was no use in asking anybody else to come with me because nobody would say yes to me anyways. I figured out that social media makes everything so much worse. As I could see everybody having fun without me, I could see them hanging out without me, and I could feel my heart breaking with every single picture of them hanging out that I saw. A lot of people have the assumption that heartbreak is only felt in romantic relationships, but how wrong they are. The pain I felt when I saw all of my friends hanging out without me was nothing short of heartbreak. I attempted to delete the apps multiple times, but I always held on to that. Well, what if I'm needed? Because at the time, that was the only way that people who didn't have my number could reach me. But looking back on it, deleting those apps could have saved me from so much heartache. As people post online what they want their lives to be construed as, and not as they truly are. To this day, I still severely struggle with fear of rejection, but I never do anything about it. I know it's there, so what's stopping me from fighting it? Well, it's not solely derived from one source, but from low self-esteem and making assumptions. I let my low belief in myself and my abilities to allow my mind to assume the worst, which results in isolation and loneliness. Participating in this whole TED experience, where I actively reflected on my fear of rejection, forced to contemplate solutions and narrate my worst moments, has made me realize that I need to stop being so reliant on others. Because I need to be more self-sufficient, because you never know when you'll be on your own. I joined this club because I thought that throughout this long very, very long process that I would find a way that works for me. And while I was looking for some complex, philosophical answer to my problem, I found that, ironically, it's the simplest of solutions. I need to stop caring what people think of me. I know, it seems like a cheesy and overdone concept, because it is. But it's so simple. If I stop caring, the thoughts will stop coming. Well, this all sounds great in theory, but let's be honest. It takes a lot to stop caring what somebody thinks of you. I'm still working on it, and hopefully, someday, I will stop caring what people think of me. But until then, I'm going to try my hardest to not let my fears dictate my actions, because the moment I can do that is the moment that I will finally be able to live my life to the fullest. I know I can't be the only person in the world that struggles with this. Even if you don't struggle with it personally, you more than likely know somebody who does, whether you're aware of it or not. However, you can still help. You can help by reaching out to others, especially if it doesn't bother you to do so. I know how much it takes for somebody like me to reach out to others. So if you see somebody who looks lonely, go talk to them. Little acts of kindness to acknowledge somebody go a long way. They may appreciate it a lot more than you realize. As for people like me, go out of your comfort zone. You have to put in the effort as well. I know it'll take a lot, but it'll be so worth it. This school year has been miles better than the summer, as I finally allowed myself to reach out. And you should too. I finally talked to people that I wouldn't normally talk to, and it made an incredible impact on my life. So if you have the opportunity, insert yourselves into conversations. Talk to people you wouldn't normally talk to. Reach out. And it can most definitely change your life for the better. Thank you.